van and a bit of a plan. Let's go and see how good this thing is. Now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, oh yeah, you've been stuck in lockdown, you've been desperate to get out and start driving some press vehicles again, as you generally do, and the first thing you're offered is a van. And so desperate are you that you've thought, yeah, I'll just take it. Well, little secret of mine, I actually quite like a van. I quite like a big old white van, a big box on wheels. And I'm going to tell you why, once I find my way out of Takapuna, which isn't easy. This is actually one of 3 Renault vans in the New Zealand lineup. There's a Kangoo, which is like a small, I guess the size of an MPV style van. And there's a large one called a Master, which is a massive big long thing with a big high roof. And it's sort of more akin to sort of freight forwarding. This is the middle ground. I'm in what's called the Trafic. And yes, I am putting a weird French kind of accent on the end of that. It's spelled traffic, Trafic. So I don't know if they really call it a Trafic, but it's French, so it sounds good. This is the mid-size van. You can get it in 2 iterations. This is a long wheelbase one, and I'll give you a guided tour around all the empty space at the back of this thing soon. There's also a short wheelbase one. Short wheelbase one is, as the label suggests, a little bit shorter. There's one engine. It's a 2-litre turbo diesel, 125 kilowatts and 350 odd newton meters of torque. The thing about the Trafic, and the reason why when this was offered to me I thought, yeah, I actually do want to drive this, is that I drove the last generation of this van and I was really impressed at how it drove. No, I'm not about to cut straight to it's so car-like. Oh, just like a car. I'm not going to say that at all. It's not like a car. It's a big thing and you've got to sort of take wide berths around corners and it's echoey and you're sitting up high in a weird sort of on top of something sort of way rather than a sort of SUV sort of way, and there are compromises to be made, but it was a really comfortable thing to drive. It was a really nice thing to drive. I'm not a courier. No, I'm not, but if I was one, you'd be pretty happy with this sort of thing. It's actually a really comfortable place to be. It's comfy to get in and out of. There are big steps in the doorways that sort of make it really easy to get in and out of without feeling like you're climbing up into something, as all vans do these days. Renault does it well, but it's by no means the only one. There are pockets and cubbies everywhere. There's a reasonably good stereo system, infotainment system. It's still not quite there in terms of some of the competitor sort of systems that you might get in, say, a Volkswagen Transporter, for example, but it is getting there, and it's got Apple CarPlay and Android Auto and all those kind of modern functions that you'd expect from, dare I say it, a passenger car in a van. But this thing is actually really, really nice to drive as well. I'm actually very impressed. Admittedly, you do sort of approach winding back roads in something like this with, a sense of hesitation in that you've got a massive big volume of empty space behind you and not much weight over the rear axle. This is a front wheel drive, so it does feel relatively like it's going to go where you need it to go. But it's a sort of vehicle where you could drive a long distance in this and you'd get out feeling pretty comfortable. Another sort of comfort feature of this van isn't even so much what's available to me as the driver in the dashboard. It's actually just the general atmosphere in here. It's thanks to this. There's a partition wall between me as the driver or the front seat passengers and all the cargo in the back. And obviously one of the tenets of a van usually is it's a big echoey thing, and you can hear the faintest rattle way down the back of the vehicle is amplified because, especially if you've got nothing in it, of course. But this is, I'm nicely kind of cocooned in here, and you know, it seems like it might be a small thing, but actually over a long day for somebody driving this full time, it actually really sort of helps with your fatigue and your sense of comfort and you know, being generally relaxed as you carry things from A to B. And it's even got quite a clever little feature under these seats beside me is a hollowed out cavity where a folding flat lifts up and you can store longer items through there, and they go right the way through into the footwell here, which is a really handy thing if you've got big long tubes of whatever that you've got to transport around. Inside the cab here, as most vehicles of this nature go, it's got plenty of storage. There's a nice cubby on top of the dashboard here, and of course there's a conventional glove box, and that's all pretty standard. But come over here and you can see this middle partition on the seats lifts up and it reveals there's that extender load cavity we were talking about. That's easily accessible from the cab, which is quite a nice feature. And there's also, if I can make it work, this folds down, this middle seat, and you've kind of got a little utility belt full of interesting features on the back, including this removable, I guess you'd use it as a clipboard perhaps, I'm not actually sure what that's for. That sort of slots in and clips out, and then you've got some extra storage in there as well. So it's you know, it's a handy little thing, and an extra cup holder too. Here we are in the business end of the van, and what do you expect? It's a van. It's nice and echoey and roomy in here. In fact, this is the long wheelbase van that I've got, the long wheelbase version. So this gives you 2.9 metres of load length versus 2.5 metres in the short wheelbase. This has got barn doors. If you opt for the short wheelbase, you're only going to get a lifting tailgate. But you can essentially specify this however you want. There's windows in this one, and then there's these blanks, where you can have the entire thing as blanks or windows or whatever you desire. It pretty much will come out of the factory as you need it. This is very much, as you see, a big white box on wheels. It's a white van, and that's sort of, if they're silver or white or maybe red occasionally, but they all come out of the factory looking pretty much the same. It's pretty utilitarian, but that's what you buy one for, right? Well, it's getting on the day now, and of course I'm getting rather hungry. And seeing as I'm in a van, and I'm only doing this for you guys, the viewers, I'm going to go to one of those rare and cherished places that everyday delivery drivers absolutely love. That's right, I think I'm going to have to go to a food bar. I'm only doing this for you, the CarNut audience. I really was looking forward to a broad bean salad for lunch. Well, needs must. One thing that Renault haven't been able to engineer in this latest Trafic is some sort of pie crumb catching device. Because right now, when I get out of this van, it's going to look like I'm suffering from some sort of golden flaked eczema, such as the shower of crumbs that's going to emanate from inside the cabin. It's just to stay inside, I guess.